Well, a good evening to you all. My name is Jamie and we are back for CRL for Tier 1 of the Imola Grand Prix. Welcome back at round 12 here, moving from Abu Dhabi to the Middle East, back to the European track, and we are here for the Italian Grand Prix, one of the two circuits here in Italy this season on the calendar. Monza and Imola. We did have three, which was Mugello at the 2020 season as well. Placed it for some other tracks that couldn't do it because of COVID, but here we are then, and the first man out on the track is the Aston Martin of Resify. I think he's quite handy in these conditions. You can see there the intermediate, the green wall tyres being used, so not too much standing water but still enough to call out the intermediate tyres to use in this session. You can see that taking it very aggressively through there is Resify, testing the limits of the track on his outlap and getting as much temperature in those tyres as he possibly can. And we'll see how the drivers negotiate their way around this track. It's quite difficult as well in these track conditions, especially through Acqua Minerale there, going downhill and uphill. It's a tricky section that is, because you want to get the power but also you don't want to spin the rear of the car up. Let's see how they manage it in the race. Then I did have a photo save of the track map, but it hasn't saved to my gallery, so we have to try and find it on the web. There we go. So Resify then makes his way around the final corner, modified for this for the race. Used to be a chicane there at the final two corners, but making his way down the long straight then as we head to turn one. That's turn one there, and we're going down into turn two. Then let's see how he hits the corners. Turn two, didn't really hit it, and you can see the back end stepping out already. So the car, he goes off the track. You can see there the back of the car unsettling. And unfortunately that's his first lap time ruined with a space of a few corners then, so we have to go on board with somebody else. We've got T Griff there, going in the Red Bull there, coming through turn 4 and turn 5, the Villeneuve corner through here. As we go through Torsa, next time round is this left hand, there we go, breaking the 50-meter board, get the car turned in, crucial to get it right through here as well, because there's a lot of demand on the traction. You can see the wheel spin as he makes his way out of there, coming through Acqua Minerale, Piratella coming through turn number 9, and now through turn number 10 we go. A lot of people tend to struggle around here, this part of the track. I can see why. Acqua Minerale is well flat out to the first, but you don't go flat out the first part of the section, especially in the wet. And he didn't really hook up the apex and get the best exit as he would have wanted to come out there to Griff. You can see that was a bit hesitant going into there. Now going into chicane, you don't want to take too much curb, but you can see that Charles Leclerc and Yuki Tsunoda found out in their previous times through there, especially Charles Leclerc when he spun there during the race and handed a Red Bull 1-2. I believe Leclerc fell off the podium as well. I think the podium went towards Lando Norris, as I think Leclerc went to 6th or 7th. I can't actually quite remember. It was so long ago. Well, it wasn't too long ago, it was this season. Swift then making his way towards the line. Let's see what lap time everybody has to beat. It's a 25.6, and the Williams behind him, I believe, is about to start his flying lap. There's a lot of drivers out there on their flying laps as Giroud Rizza takes pole by a second. So you can see that the Alfa Romeo Giroud very comfortable in these early stages qualifying. There's a Ferrari AJ who's got into P3 with a 25.9, so we can see there's some bankers set. And there's Joshua, he's very handy in the wet conditions. Let's not forget Canada, and let's not forget I think Singapore was also, no, I'm not quite sure if Singapore was a wet race, but yeah, he's quite handy in the wet conditions. As Isa Kush, as he extends the bar, talk about raising the bar, he is beaten by Ferg with a 23.2. As you can see, their times are popping in as all the drivers there getting familiar with this track and trying to push the boundaries of this track without spinning. All invalidated it then, and Dubel has gone up into P4 with a 23.77. Liam is also in P5, also to want to watch out for. I believe both Williams there of Joshua and Leo scored a podium at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. They made it a double Williams podium, and that would be a very good points for the constructors then. And Joshua scored quite a few podiums this year. He's done quite well despite everything that's happened in the Singapore Grand Prix when he made that mistake on the safety car restart. Look at that, it's going 9/10 quicker. So I'm going to stay on board with Joshua, because this could put him up to P2 if he continues like this, or if he finds more time. As Leo, talking about Williams, has just gone P1. It's a 22.8. So the first man then in the 22s, as you can see, the drivers gaining confidence as they continue exploring the grip on this track, getting familiar with the wet conditions there. As Joshua's about to cross the line next, is going to be a Williams 1-2 with a 23.1 then. And as you can see, the times are ramping in now as all the drivers are starting to gain the confidence in their cars. This season's champion Walter down in P18 has pitted, so I wonder what's happened to him, because I did see him out there on the track, but he's gone back in the pit lane in his Ferrari, so may not be comfortable on the circuit. 22.7 then for Nathan as he raises the bar by under a tenth, a few hundreds quicker than Leo in P2 then. So there is the Williams driver in P2. Isak Kush up into P5 with Ken, Euro Ken, the Finnish driver in P6, and Duel in P7, AJ P8, Liam in P9. Unfortunately, what happened to Liam, I think, at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, both Alpines are up there of Pyro and Liam, but unfortunately they both suffered their own accidents. I think Liam spun, I think his tyres were actually quite old, to be fair to him. I can't actually quite remember, even though it was last week. But Reservoir, what's happened to him then? He's gone for another lap time. I think he's got a brand new set of inters because he was the first man on the track, and Jeroen with a 22.4, so he's got a big margin now of 3/10, but I dare say that will be beaten with everybody gaining more confidence in their cars and on the track as well. But Reservoir, one of the 4 drivers who ever set a lap time, or one of the 5, because Superbug, I dare say that's not representative for him. He could do much better than that. QRT, talk about Superbug, he's just got into P3 with a 22.7, and he's under 300 slower than Nathan then. So close times despite it being wet conditions on this track. I think Superbug's going for another push lap, bearing in mind he's already done 3, but he can do more and more laps on these tyres because the surface of the tyre doesn't warm up as quickly, or as we've got Aston Martin, and you can see Supermug has just almost lost his car coming through the Villeneuve section there. And that Aston Martin, was that Reservoir in P18, I wonder? Yes, it was Res, so unfortunately there he is struggling with the track conditions. And look at that, it has stopped raining, so I dare say we might see some tyres, dry tyres being used in this session. I hope so, and this will ramp things up very quickly as well, because a lot of drivers will be out there, all of them. Oh look, he's lost his front wing, so he's very lucky he hasn't lost a wheel, because if he's lost a wheel in this period, knowing that the dry period's coming, he's just cost himself a lot of time, and that was in Williams slowing down. I don't think he sustained any damage, has the Williams. I think he's just slowing down to let people through on their laps. That is Leo, hopefully he's alright. You can see them burning off some fuel, as you've got plenty of tyres and fuel to go for another lap time. Has Liam, you can see him applying the throttle and brakes at the same time to burn off the fuel and save EOS as well. So doing you can see they're really burning the fuel. But I want to see who's out there on a lap. I think Isak Kush is on a lap. You can see that the EOS is really low as he's about to make his way towards the line. Ferg's gone third, and Isak Kush has gone quickest with a 22.3. But I expect the times now to be dipping under the 20s as the track keeps ramping up to be quicker and quicker by the minute. It's just been on the right tyres at the right time and being on the track at the right time as well. You want to be last over the line in these conditions. Martin P20 has gone for a lap on the intermediates. Nobody's on the softs yet. They are, but those drivers on the softs have gone to the pit lane. It's too early for soft compound tyres. You don't want to be risking it out there and trying to set a lap time whilst pushing, and also risking the chances of making big mistakes and hit the wall and possibly damaging the car. And that'll cost you a big chance when it comes to the dry period, knowing that you've lost a big chance. So these drivers are waiting in the pit lane, and some have came out on a brand new set of the intermediates, but we are in that phase now where we're just waiting for those softs to appear on the track. And these drivers continuously then, I dare say you don't want to be really risking it now once you're on the inters, because this track will get drier and drier and you'll be on the soft compound tyres soon. You don't really want to shoot yourself in the foot knowing that there's a big chance coming up towards the end with soft compound tyres being used. And there's a 55.3 in the middle sector there for Marty in P20. And I think Ken has crossed. They've got Aston Martin of Dual, I think, crossed the line to go P8. Look at Stanley up into P7 there with a 22.8. Very close towards Leo's time. In the Williams, Joshua and Leo are capable in these wet conditions. We've seen it before in the past. Marty is about to make his way towards the line. It's going to be a 22.7. He pots his McLaren into P6, so that's a good job there from the McLaren driver to put his car up there into the top 6. Liam then, 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the session. He's on the inters. He's gone for a brand new set of the intermediate compound tyres then, so he should be very quick now on those inters. But like I said, you don't want to really be risking it too much out there, especially. Oh, look at that! He did exceed. Well, he did use all the track without exceeding it. We've got a McLaren who's spun, I think, and Walter's gone quicker with a 21.8 then. So that's a big margin there over the rest for them to catch up to. And that is Marty who's gone for a spin. So I dare say he's gone for a second lap on those intermediates, so he can do more laps continuously without backing off, because the grip rubber's in and the surface temperature doesn't overheat as much as well as the dry tyres would do. Regardless of it's soft, medium or hard, you don't want to be doing more than one lap consecutively on the dry compound tyres, but you can on the wets, and it'll get better and better as well. 1.4 seconds quicker in this middle sector from Liam, so that should put him up towards around about the 22s if he continues like this. Can he find more time in this last sector? We'll see. He'll catapult up the order if he continues like this. It's been a clean lap so far from Liam as he makes his way around the final corner now. And let's see what lap time he can set in that Alpine. Is it going to be near Walter's time? It's a 21.8, and that is super close towards Walter's time. So he even found more time in this last sector. 1.4 seconds quicker. He was 7/10 quicker in that final sector. So he did find a huge amount of time to catapult him up the order. However, we've got Aston Martin who's going to have a little bit of trouble there. That's Resify who's on the soft compound tyres then. So I think the first man is out on the soft compound tyres then. So everybody will keep an eye on Resify's time at this stage of qualifying. Resify has pulled the trigger. His teammate, however, has done 6 consecutive laps on these intermediate, I don't think consecutive, push, cool down, push and whatnot. So he's put a lot of fuel in the car. Has Dual, and he's improving as well in this middle sector. But what's his Aston Martin teammate telling him? Even if they are in the party together, should he pit this lap? Should he go on the soft compound tyres? And he decides to stay out there as Leo goes quickest with a 21.5. Dual across the line. He goes P4 with 7 lap old tyres. Wow, that's a good lap time. So what does Dual do? What does the rest of them do? Should you put on a brand new set of inters? Should you go on the soft compound tyres? Let's go on board with Resify to find out, shall we? There we go then, going down to turn 2, turn 3. Did Resify, remember, went off at turn 1, well, he went off at turn 3 on his intermediates. The back end of the car just wasn't settling for him. Coming into turn 4, turn 5, looking really nice and tidy there, getting on the throttle very comfortably as well. And Nathan goes quickest with a 21.2. Good lap time there. And going through turn 7 at Tosa, you can see him sliding through the corner there at the exit. Turn number 9, let's see how he takes this. In 5th gear, gets on the throttle very nicely indeed. So this might be the right call for Resify. Maybe a little bit too early, I'm not quite sure, but still carrying the speed through Acqua Minerale. Gets a really good exit as well. The back of the car just settling for him. It's a 54.1. If I remember my memory, I think Leo did a 54.4. So Resify is 3/10 up on Leo's time. So I think it's definitely the right call now to go on the soft compound tyres. It's nipping up between these drivers there. As they're coming towards the dying stage of the qualifying, Resify almost went out wide to get a validation, but thankfully he did not. And I think he's about to go quicker now as he makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 20.7 then. So the soft compound tyres have made an appearance and they've gone quickest then. So that should tell everybody to go on the soft compound tyres. The lights saying Nathan will only have 1 lap. As you can see, he's on the intermediate tyres, and once he pits, we'll only have 1 lap to get that lap in on the soft compound tyres then. So that is crucial for Nathan there. Is that another bad strategy call from Red Bull to leave him out there a little bit too late? His brother in P15 is on a flying lap, I think, or is about to start a flying lap. I think most of these drivers will get 1 lap only, interestingly. The likes of AJ and Resify, depending on the fuel, might get 2. The rest of them might have 1, depending if they get on the track right now. AJ makes his way through turn 2, turn 3, very cautiously there from AJ. As you can see, they're crawling through turn number 4 there. He's not very confident as we make our way into turn 5 and turn 6. This may be a double push lap, outlap, sorry. So this may be a double outlap from AJ. You can see 7/10 down in the first set as Ken has retired. Was that on the track or was that in the pit lane? If it was in the pit lane, not quite sure why he's done it, because we're about to see the soft compound tyres kicking in. So yeah, AJ is clearly on another push outlap. Super Mug is making his way around the final 2 corners then. And look at that, majority of the drivers are still in the pit lane. Wow, this is very interesting then. They're leaving it to the very last minute, and if they make a mistake on their first lap on the soft compound tyres, they could see themselves falling all the way down to last place, or 18th at least, because Ken and Leroy's retired. But if, yeah, this could be really interesting. This one lap from everybody has to count, and they're still in the pit lane, some of them. This could be a mad dash out of the pit lane with 1 minute 50 seconds left to go. This could be very nip and tuck between all these drivers, leaving it to the possible last minute to get the best conditions. I don't think some of them might make it, to be honest with you, because majority of them coming out the pits like right now, and they're going to leave each other space and watch out for cars coming on their flying laps. So this could be really interesting end to qualifying. Who's got it right and who's got it wrong? Whoever's not left the pits are in big trouble. Steiny's in big trouble. He's in P12. He's not even left the pits yet. He's about to, but I don't think he's got any time. He's going to push on this out lap really hard if he wants to get a time on the board. Supermug, we're watching, has got 3.7 seconds in this middle sector. And there's a Ferrari in the way, or is that a Red Bull? Supermug's backed off. Wow, he is maybe wanted to go for another flying lap on these set of softs. I don't know. This is very interesting. Maybe want to be in sync with the rest of them. But whatever he's done, if he makes a mistake on his next lap, and he's in P10, he falls all the way down to P18, and that's a shame for him. But I want to see, everyone's coming out the pit lane right now, but I don't think some people will make it. We're about to find out those who don't. You can look at the middle sector, surrounded by 6 cars. Look at the Haas coming towards, I think, towards Aqua Minerale. Still not even made it to the middle end of the middle sector yet. So that could be interesting. Look at all the cars queued up in that final part of the track. If we had another camera overlooking those cars, I'd be really interested to see that traffic jam. And AJ's gone quickest with it, the 19.9. He's gone for 2 laps on those set of soft compound tyres. And let's see if that lap time then, if he's going to take pole position away from Reservoir. Reservoir's retired, so he's not gone for a second lap as the Aston Martin. We're on board with Liam. Anybody could take pole position if they hook it up and not make any mistakes, because if one driver makes a mistake, they could see themselves falling all the way down to the back of the grid if they don't be careful. Joshua's gone quickest, but Liam with a 50.6 in this middle sector. And Griff's gone quickest with a 16.9 for Red Bull. We've got a McLaren, I think that's Marty, I'm not quite sure. But look at the first sector, middle sector, surrounded by cars, as the McLaren of Marty goes on pole with a 16.6. Can he stay there as the Alpine's about to make his way towards the final corner? We've got an Aston Martin across the line next. That's Dewell's gone to P3. Liam has taken pole with a 16.0. These times will keep tumbling down. Supermug's got into P2 with a 16.6. That's 6/10 slower than Leo. Ferg in P2. And what about Nathan then in the Red Bull as he makes his way towards the line? It's Paul with a 15.9. We've got a Haas next. Is that who's that gone across the line? That's Isak Kush, who's got into pole position with a 15.6. I think there's a Ferrari next across the line now. That is AJ, who's gone for 3 laps on those set of soft compound tyres. That is 3 laps. Incredible. What about Walter, our champion in P14? Has gone pole with a 15.5. And the Alfa Romeo's next across the line. That is Jeroen Visser in P4. Sieb in P5 from P19. Finally got a lap time on the board, has Sieb. And wow, these times get tumbling down. What an interesting qualifying that was. A mad lap dash. But I wondered, did anybody get caught out in those last few minutes of qualifying as they came out the pit very late? I think I highlighted Steiny being one of them. And where is Steiny? He's down in P18, so it has not worked out for Steiny. As you can see, on the Inters, set his best lap time on the Inters, so it hasn't worked out for him at all. But Walter, the 2-time champion of CRL, is on pole ahead of Leo for Williams Racing. This could make out to be another interesting race as he finished on the podium last race in P2. Isak Kush P3, Nathan in P4, Jeroen P5, Sieb in P6, Liam in P7, Ferg in P8, AJ P9, Supermug in P10, Marty P11, Tigref P12, Bompier P13, Dewell P14, Joshua P15, Knight, Reservoir, Statney, Ken and Leroy, who we did not see in qualifying due to a possible qualifying ban as he did retire in the pit lane. Welcome back to Tier 1 for round number 12. We are here for the race. It's going to be really interesting now. Let's see the tyre strategies everybody has opted to go for. I can see Wout on the hards, and Leo then has gone on the medium compound tyres. Clearly nobody on the softs because that's a useless tyre unless it's qualifying. But we might see some spicy action towards the end of the race if the soft compound tyres does get used. We saw a few safety cars at hello Harvey Lees. How you doing, mate? Nice to see you. See you in Manchester soon, Harvey. But yeah, might see some soft compound tyres like we saw in Abu Dhabi where Leo tried to put the pressure on Walter. There was 3 safety cars that came out that race. I wonder how many safety cars will come out in this one. You could have been commentating with me, Harvey, if I messaged you earlier. It was a double Williams podium. Could be a good chance for another podium for Williams, but unfortunately Joshua's down to P15. Can he recover there? Because Joshua, I think he qualified P18 last time in Abu Dhabi, or outside the top 15 it must be said, if I can't remember exactly, and he came home to finish in P3. His teammate Leo also qualified 16th or something like that, and he came home to finish in P2. So anything could literally happen in this race. I can't wait to see what happens in the next 32 laps as all the drivers line up on the grid then ready for the Imola Grand Prix. He's a coach. Can he make a good recovery drive? He did spin at turn number 9 at Abu Dhabi. Quite an event that was in Abu Dhabi where a lot of things happened in that race, but it was the Walter who eventually was the eventual race winner, taking the championship in Abu Dhabi. Joshua in P3 in the championship. He's done a fantastic job. He's gone under the radar this season as of Joshua. He's done a sterling job so far. Can he keep P3 in the championship? He's currently in P15. AJ's out qualified him, separated by 7 points. Here we go then for the lights out. We are underway for round 12 of the Imola Grand Prix. As expected, Leo should get a good start off the line to challenge Walter before turn number 2 as they make their way then to turn 1 we go. Is Leo close enough to make a move on Walter? I don't think he is, no he's not. So Walter stays in P1 despite being on the hard compound tyres. You can see the AlphaTauri in the background there getting out of shape again on the curbs, and he's lost quite a few positions. That was Steve who's dropped down into P7 and who got on the curbs, unfortunately for him. He's also on the medium compound tyres. He needs to capitalise on those as much as he can. Can he make a lunge down into Torso we go? No he can't. As further back we've got action going on between Joshua, who started P15. He's moved himself up into P11. He's got around the outside of Marty for P11, so that's a fantastic start there from Joshua already to move himself up there into P11, just outside the top 10, putting pressure on Ferg ahead of him. He's got 3 medium runners ahead of him, Supermug, AJ and Sieb. Looking to make the use of those medium compound tyres at this early stage of the race, but however Walter remains our race leader into P1 ahead of Leo in P2, and Aston Martin and the McLaren going side by side there. That was Marty and Reservoir going side by side. You can see Marty putting a wheel on the grass there, but Reservoir eventually got ahead of him as we round off lap 1 then to see Walter lead the Grand Prix ahead of Leo for P1. Yeah, Leo looks like he initially got a good start, judging by that camera angle. He didn't get the best camera angles, but he just couldn't get the second phase that he wanted, and he stayed in P2 for the time being. Would have been nice for him to lead the Grand Prix on the medium compound tyres and hoping to pull away, but now he's stuck in Walter's dirty air and needs to try and find a way past while those medium compound tyres are still in good effect there. And Supermug then getting really close to the back of AJ, who's fighting for P7 with Steve all game. Steve hasn't had the best of seasons this season. He's currently up into P7. I think he was in the top 10. You can see the Williams there of Joshua getting out of shape, coming out of Tulsa, but stays on the track. Could be a big DRS train so far, and you can see there all the drivers following each other in the dirty air, coming through Imola, one of my favourite corners this is. Not to drive, but when you look at it, just lovely seeing those cars going through up and down, and you can see Supermug getting really close to the back of AJ there, and you can see him getting out of shape. I think he took too much curb and the back end just settled out on him as he tries to continue that pressure he put in on AJ, try and force him to a mistake. AJ knows he's there. He's fighting with the championship. Well, I say he's fighting with P3 in the championship with Joshua, who's only a few cars behind. AJ versus Joshua, as DRS then has been enabled, which will boost the chances of overtaking. We should see some soon. Headed down into turn 2, turn 3 and turn 4. Very easy to get wrong. Ask Mark all that time ago when he spun out of here and hit the wall. He also calls the safety car as well for good measure and spiced those last few laps up as well with the safety car. And now Leo's getting really close on the back of Walter there. I wonder, can he make an overtake going down into turn 2? Utilising those medium compound tyres he has to at this stage of the race. He can't afford to sit behind the rear wing of Walter. He needs to be leading this Grand Prix. He needs to pull away as much as he can to reduce that gap before he goes on the hard compound tyres. Hasn't worked out for him so far, but still could work out for him. He could find a really good exit and try and close in on the race leader. Liam in P6 there, putting pressure. I think he's Jeroen and Nathan going side by side. Yes, they are going side by side. Then I think Nathan made a mistake coming out of those two corners, that chicane, and Nathan there gets put on the gravel, and Jeroen then is up into P4. Aggressive move from Jeroen, but it's worked for him, and he puts himself into P4 then. So I wonder what happens to Nathan then coming out of that chicane. Did he take too much curve? Did he get a really bad exit? Who knows? But it's cost him a position, and he's moved down into P5, fortunately for him. And Ken has made a move on night. He's up into P14 ahead of the Mercedes driver. Marty is the first driver who picks up a 3-second tyre penalty in this race. Not a good sign. It's very easy to exceed track limits around this track, especially where they're going through 4 and 5. Now coming into Torsa at turn 7, turn 5 and turn 6. Sorry, always get the corners built up. But I think Marty's retired, so he's called it a day. But here goes Superbug, and unfortunately, he can't make an overtake because the safety car has been deployed. But what a battle that would have been. I would have loved that battle to be unfolded all the way down into Aqua Minerale. But Marty, I think he's crashed at the pit lane entry. I don't think he's actually retired in the pits. There he is. He's crashed at the exit of the final corner. So that's a weird place to crash. Usually if you spin at the final corner, it won't be near towards the pit lane because obviously you're going in the gravel where, yeah, you just lose traction. Unfortunately, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. Then Marty then is out of the Grand Prix. Did he want to go to pit lane? It looks like the car reset to track. He might have crashed in the pit lane, but the car has reset to track as it would do. So a safety car has came out. Leo hasn't pitted. I think it's too early to go off the medium compound tyres. Bearing in mind though, you get a tyre strategy now. You get a tyre allocation. There we go. And you can choose harder, softer or balance. If you choose the balance strategy, you get 3 sets of soft, 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of hards. But obviously I don't think Leo wants to give up that track position, and it's too early to make a pit stop in this race. Nobody's gone for a pit stop. Ideally, if Leo wants a safety car to come out, be lap 12, lap 13 or something like that. But obviously he's not going to give up that track position. It's not a safety car either, it's a virtual, sorry, so my mistake for that one. As we get racing once again then, I want to see Superbug as he was applying big pressure on AJ there. And this time he's not close enough to make a move, but he is forcing him into fighting in places he don't want to be fighting. Especially places like this where it's so easy to lose time going side by side. And staying in the DRS train is really important, because once you're out of that DRS train, it's super hard to catch up again, as those guys will have the big DRS advantage. Look at that, he's closing all over the back. As you can clearly see that Superbug has more confidence in the corners, I dare say. Probably due to setup as well, who knows. But you can see him really using the ERS now to try and close in and try and overtake AJ. Is he going to surprise him, or is he going to do it down at turn number 2 where most overtakes happen? However, AJ gets a really good exit though, and he's putting pressure on C-Raw Gamer. You can see the Williams in the background got out of shape once again. That was Joshua, who was losing the back end, but still makes it on the track. And you can clearly see that AJ can't overtake C because C is in the DRS of the guys ahead of him on the hard compound tyres as well. Can Leo in P2? He's closing up once again on our championship leader, or our champion, shall I must say. On the medium compound tyres, but look at that. That's not a move you really see often. He gets a really good exit around the outside. Can he make the move stick? Superbug as they go side by side. This will be a drag race. Who's going to back out going into turn number 7? Piratara, if I pronounced that right. I'm not quite sure. But Superbug has to go off the track, and AJ's hit the wall. AJ making contact there with Superbug, and unfortunately has lost his front wing. There was never enough room for both of them to go side by side there. And then AJ has suffered the pain and consequences for that one, I'm afraid for him. And Supermug there, I think he's escaped damage free. Able to continue in the Alfa Romeo, but that's unfortunate there for AJ. Supermug somehow managed to get a really good exit cut out of turn 6 and was able to just go around the outside just like that. And they continued their battle all the way up towards turn number 9, Piratella. And Jeroen Visser has dropped into P5 now as Nathan's got him back to P4. And it's really crucial now that Nathan stays and remains within that DRS of Isa Kush in P3. Isa Kush there looking to get a podium after spinning out at Abu Dhabi at turn number 9. Quite a few people have done that so far, but as you can see, Relentless Ferg is in P9 now. Something must have happened to Ferg. I think I haven't seen something in his race because Ferg is the P8. Sieb's overtaken him. I think Ferg made a mistake. He's 1.7 further back because Sieb and Supermug were close together, and now Ferg is in P8. So I wonder if he's made a mistake somewhere, lost traction maybe. But now he's under big pressure from Supermug. This would be helpful for Seavorg Gaming as well, as he's able to stick with that DRS to the top 6 there, while Supermug is getting hold of by Ferg. But it looks like he's struggling, but in the background we can see an Aston Martin going off the track. That's reservoir. He's only got 1 penalty. He doesn't want to be adding more to that collection there. But I dare say if Supermug gets a really good exit, Ferg will be a sitting duck on this straight. With no help at DRS, because that DRS train has been broken now, and there's 2 separate groups. Jeroen just let Nathan by. Thank you for that, Harvey. And Supermug there is up into P8. Ahead of Ferg. Can he close that gap down now? Like I said, I talked about that DRS train that those top 7 have. Once you're outside the DRS train, it's super hard to close in. Your biggest chance are in the corners where you're not in the dirty air. But once you come out and you're on the straight, they gain about 3 or 4 tenths with the DRS they have. So I wonder if Supermug can close in, because he's effectively the leader of the second DRS train that's leading all the way down towards Leroy in P13. Leroy had a qualifying ban. He's up into P13 then, so made some good progress in the field. And Ferg looks like he's not having the best time as well. He's going to be under pressure now from Joshua right behind him. Lap 8 out of 32. Leo's still sticking in the DRS of Walter. Walter doing a good job to hold off Leo in P2. Oh, Ferg's made a mistake and he is spun, well half spun, coming out of the chicane. And he's dropped into P13 then. Not really happy with the car setup, it looks like. He has been struggling just a little bit there, going offline here and there. And it's all unfolded for him. He's dropped into P13, has the Mercedes driver. Has released Joshua now to claw up on Supermug, who's got himself in the DRS now of Seavorg Gamer. And the battle for the top 2 then remains as Resify then has overtaken Joshua to go side by side, or they were, as Resify now is up into P9 ahead. And Dewall now is up into P14 ahead of the night. He makes his move up to P14 on those medium compound tyres. Liam in P6 there, just holding on to the DRS train of Jeroen. The top 5 remain ahead of him. In the background we can see Resify and Joshua fighting for P9. Resify looking to get himself back in the DRS train of Supermug, who's closed in on the Seavorg Gamer once again. But like the last few laps, Supermug can't overtake, as Jeroen Visser then has overtaken Nathan again, and Nathan's dropped into P6. So he must have had a big mistake. You see there's grass on his tyres there, so he must have half spun the car and saved it, has Nathan. It's a big moment that's cost him 2 positions unfortunately there. And I wonder how it's going to work out in the championship, because he's only about 60 points ahead of Evans Joshua, depending on how many races there are left in the season. Not many, I think. There's only 2 races left in this season, and you get 30 points if you win. So he's still fighting for P2 the championship, and there goes Nathan on Liam, and he makes his way back into P5 then. So despite the mistake, it looks like it hasn't phased him, and he continues then on his way. Thankfully there's no damage sustained to the Red Bull either. He's 1.2 seconds behind Jeroen. Can he close that gap down? I wonder. Towards this stage of the race, the hard compound tyres, they should be the better tyre in this race. The mediums will still have some life in them, but their peak performance will have passed by now. But with the DRS helping Leo stick with him, and good pace from the Williams driver too, still putting pressure on the Ferrari driver of Walter, who's not going to be phased whatsoever in this season, not going to be forced to a mistake as we've seen in the past few races, is the championship leader. Two-time champion like Duval is Walter now. Done a fantastic job all season long. And last season it's been a switch for like Giroud and Walter, because I know Walter last season was making a few mistakes and Giroud was dominating. This season Giroud's making mistakes and Walter seems to be dominating. It looks like they just switched roles. But is Leo close enough to make a move into turn number 2? He's just that little bit too far back, trying to dummy a move on Walter to try and force him to mistake, but not having it whatsoever, as Joshua has overtaken Reservoir once again. He moves himself up into P9. So despite starting P18, I believe it was, no it wasn't P18, it was P15, he's got himself inside the top 9 while his teammate continues to fight for P2. Steve Gamer then is under big pressure now from Supermug right behind it, both in IRT of course. I don't think they'll be squabbling too hard over P7. Supermug, despite losing his front wing at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and causing that second safety car, still managed to find his way to finish in P4. I wonder what he could do in this race. Didn't have the best of qualifying either here at the Imola Grand Prix. Started P10, he's up to P8 currently. Decided to go on the medium compound tyres. Now putting pressure on his fellow IRT member, Steve Gamer, who's got Liam ahead of him. And Liam is not in the DRS train either of the guys ahead of him. You can see the Aston Martin squirming a bit in the background. Is Superbug close enough to make a move on Steve Gamer? Yes he is. I believe those two could be in the party, so I don't think Steve will fight it too hard. And now Superbug is up into P7 then. Next target is Liam on those hard compound tyres. Those hard should be better now at this stage of the race, I dare say. The mediums are not dead, they're just probably past their peak performance. You can see them squirming through the corners as he exits turn number 6, heading up into Torsen now. But we saw Michael Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya have their moment here. You can see a squirmy exit there from Supermug as he tries to get back on the power as quickly as he can to continue putting pressure there on Liam ahead of him. Safety car will be doable by now for the medium runners, especially Leo up there in P2. But bearing in mind that we can have mixed strategy choices now, with the tyre allocations being harder, softer or balanced. You can see there's Superbug fighting with the car yet again, going through the chicane. Despite that though, he's not losing time, losing a little bit of time, but not the importantly the DRS towards Liam. Pushing that Alfa Romeo as hard as he can as the Aston Martin then picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's 6 seconds now for Reservoir. He's already got 1. And yeah, he's going to retire the pit lane. I can see a retirement coming very shortly for Reservoir. No, he's not going to retire then. I thought he was going to retire because usually when a driver picks up a penalty, they pick up another one. They just retire. But look at that, Liam's just let Superbug go. Oh, has he? Yes, he has. Maybe he made a mistake and pulled to one side. But here we go. Then we're going to continue the battle up towards turn number 7. And Leo, unfortunately, has just lost the position there to Superbug. I wonder what happened to him there, because he looks like he just slowed down to let Superbug go. Unless Superbug was draining the ERS to increase his chances of an overtake. But Liam then has unfortunately lost it. And talk about losing it. Steve Gamer in the background there has also lost it too. But saves the car coming towards Acro Minerali. You can see there the medium runners are definitely struggling, but despite saying that though, the Alfa Romeo Supermug still got some decent pace left in those tyres, but for how long I wonder, because you can see Leo in P2 now, he's lost DRS towards Walter, he's just hovering around the 1.0, 1.1 gap now. I wonder has Walter responded a little bit as well, but Leo has pitted then, so he's going to come into pit lane to put on a brand new set of the hard compound tyres. And I'll be quiet for there until the hard runners make their pit stop on the mediums. It should be an interesting race between them as well. Let's see where he rejoins. Will he rejoin the traffic? No, should have some nice lovely track ahead of him. And he rejoined then, I think, behind the Red Bull of De Griff. The Aston Martin is a bit too out of reach for him. But here comes the Red Bull, and he moves himself, well, he's into P15 on those hard compound tyres, warming up as quickly as they can. However, Supermug then right to the back of the Alpine's gearbox once again then. I think Liam's view of taking Supermug, as Supermug was ahead of him the lap before. But with the helping hand of the DRS, he's managed to get himself up into P5 once again. But he's lost a lot of time towards the top 4. He's a cush now. Now he's got the immediate runner out of the way. Can he challenge Wilder for P1? But look at that, Liam's gone deep and he made a mistake on the exit of the chicane there. And he's got Supermug right to the back of him. But I think Supermug might be wise about this one. He doesn't want to go for it because he knows there's a DRS line there. And have DRS all the way down the straight. If he does that as well, he's low on the DRS. And he might be overtaken by a few guys there with the DRS as well. So he knows to stay behind and wait for the DRS. And once again then they switch roles. And he moves himself back up to P5. But yeah, now the medium runner of Leo is out of the way. Can Isak Kush there challenge Walter for the lead of this race? He's been sitting back into P3, just waiting and biding his time. But he's used a lot of his DRS as well, I dare say, to get back in the DRS on Walter, because Leo, with aging medium compound tyres, was outside the DRS, and Isak Kush knew he couldn't afford to let Walter go. And he had to push as hard as he can to get himself back in the DRS range of Walter to regenerate some of that lost battery. And crucially, he's got himself in that so he can save. And Giroud Visitor looking really good in the Alfa Romeo right behind him as well. He's crawling all over the back of Isak Kush, puts him under pressure. I think last year's, and if you remember, if you revert towards last season's race, that Giroud Visitor and Cameron Dowd had a really good battle, and it all unfolded the last lap because Giroud Visitor was carrying more ERS and he had to run all the way down the straight to take the lead of Cameron Dowd into turn number 2. Giroud has won around the circuit, and interesting, crucially for Leo, he's got past De Griff, and that's a really important move because he can't afford to lose too much time behind other drivers on aging tyres. He needs to make up as much time as he can on those hards, whilst those guys are still on the hard compound tyres, waiting to go on the medium compound tyres, which should be in a few laps' time. As once again, Liam and Supermug swap positions for P5 and P6. It's must be frustrating for the likes of Joshua, Steve, Ken and Leroy, who can't do anything about it, being stuck in that DRS train. That's the biggest problem about it. Once you're the 3rd or 4th car in the DRS train, you can't do anything about it. Sorry for the lead of the race actually, with Giroud and Nathan, they can't do anything about it. Because Isak Kush has got DRS on Walter. They've got to stay in P3 unless something happens. However though, the battle for the top 2 is looking really interesting. And AJ has retired in this race, and I think that's in the pit lane, so no safety car will be deployed. He decided to call it a day. But however, things are looking really spicy now at the top of the field, as Walter, Isak Kush, Giroud and Nathan barely separated by under a second as well. They're so close to each other. I think this is the time now they want to push as hard as they can before they go on the medium compound tyres. Is Isak Kush thinking about an undercut, same as Giroud and Nathan, be stuck in that DRS train? That's the only way they can get released. And there's a Ferrari coming out of the pit lane. Thank God he's ghosted, because that would have been a big collision. And Supermug and Sieb are in the pit lane, but Supermug has picked himself up a 5-second time penalty. That will be served. Well, it won't be served unless he makes another pit stop, because I don't think he can serve it in the pit stop once he's got it. No, he hasn't. Reservoir's picked up another 3-second time penalty, so he's picking up those penalties as much as he can. As you can see then, Nathan then all over the back of Giroud as he made a little bit of error going into Tulsa there as the Alfa Romeo driver. But this is the phase where it should get interesting now. Leo is still in clear air, crucially for him to try and reduce that gap all the way down before these hard runners go on the medium compound tyres. I wonder which one of them will pull the trigger first. Will Isak Kush think about an undercut on Walter? Should see them in the pit very shortly, lap 19, lap 20 I wonder. And Supermug and Sieb took those tyres 16 laps, so these medium tyres can definitely go towards the end. No problem with tyre life at all. And dummy in the pit lane was Isaac Kush. Did think about it or tried to dummy his rivals behind him, but Nathan then has gone in the pit lane. I noticed a few people are picking up speeding penalties as well, so is the pit lane catching some people out, I wonder? There's quite a few people out here tonight. Super Mug, I think Reservoir was one of them as well. And Ferg is in the pit lane to change onto the medium compound tyres then, so Nathan then, if I revert back to Monday's race, I don't think the undercut was that powerful, to be honest with you. And Reservoir picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane and he's retired, so that's his second speeding penalty, and this time he's retired. Not been a good race for the ILT driver. Oh yeah, he has switched over to ILT. I thought he was still in Relentless, but Reservoir unfortunately there has retired from the session. So these three then will push as hard as they can, and Jeroen almost goes back into the back, and I think he's lacking a little bit as Isaac Kush. The Singapore driver might be suffering with a few connection issues, but I think one of these three, or probably all three of them, will pick this lap then to recover the threat from Nathan. Those mediums will be powerful, especially a brand new set of mediums. And into the pit lane goes Walter, Isat, and Jeroen stays out. Interestingly for him then, Jeroen takes the lead of this race. I've got the Aston Martin there being recovered off the track. One Nathan then, is the undercut going to be powerful for the Red Bull driver? Can he get ahead of Walter and Isaac Kush? They're on the medium compound tyres right now. It's a really long pit lane, so you don't want to be two stopping either. It's clearly a one stop around this circuit. Can Nathan get ahead of Walter and Isaac Kush as they both trundle down the pit lane at whatever kilometers an hour or miles per hour, I'm not quite sure. But here comes Nathan then. Can he take the lead in this race? No, he's too far back. Like I said, the undercut is not really powerful around here. It was proven in Tier 1 in Monday's race. They're both stuck behind Leo, in P4. Leo there, not in the best position on being older hard compound tyres against new mediums, so he'll be under massive pressure. He takes the lead of this race as he was on the hard compound tyres for 5 extra laps, doing that undercut on these guys. But with those guys on the medium compound tyres, he should be easy pickings, unless Leo can keep it behind. But Jeroen Visser, where will he feed into all this then, I wonder? I think he's about to make his pit stop as Leo goes purple in his middle sector, so he's pushing really hard. Here's the Williams driver, and into the pit lane goes Jeroen Visser. The undercut wasn't really that powerful around here. Super Morgan putting pressure on Liam ahead of him. Liam's came out on a brand new set of mediums, so he should be quicker now, Liam, on the stage. As Ken's in the pit lane along with Joshua on those medium compound tyres once again. But here comes Jeroen Visser then, 80 kilometers an hour. About 50 miles per hour, I'm not quite sure. But here comes then Walter overtaking Leo as he moves himself up into P1. Yeah, he's moved himself up into P1 now in this race. With 12 laps to go, Walter has taken the lead of this race, and the strategy working for the hard runners. Without a safety car, I think it's hard mediums all the way. And Leo then will be under massive pressure as 3 drivers behind him have a brand new set of the medium compound tyres to their disposal, and they'll use it to good effect as well. Can Leo stick within Walter's DRS trades, keep those guys behind? Can he defend from Leo and Isaac Kush? Nathan, however, has got ahead of Jeroen Visser, and Jeroen's into P5. He's 2 seconds off, so instead that 1 lap extra has cost him a bit, has Jeroen Visser. But can he gain that time back on those drivers? Isaac Kush then all over the back of Leo. He should be able to make this overtake down the straight because Leo does not have DRS. This could be a crucial move for Isaac Kush because he can't afford to stay behind the Williams now as his pace is dropping off on those hard compound tyres. The alternate strategy working, hards to mediums, and Isaac Kush then makes his move. One Nathan follows swiftly. Here he comes then, trying to go down the inside. He's going to risk it down the inside. Will they make contact just a little bit? Oh, more contact's been made, but thankfully they stay on the track. I thought for one moment Nathan would be set and spinning as Leo there tried to fight it back into turn number 3, and thankfully Nathan doesn't get sent into a spin, neither does Leo. Very nerve-wracking moment there from both of them. Nathan tried that aggressive move. He had to make that move stick because he would stay behind him throughout the whole of this lap if he didn't. And therefore he would have lost a lot of time towards Isak Kush. And now Leo's under pressure from Jeroen Visser. Yeah, Leo had to try something different there. Those mediums to hard strategy has not worked out at all for him, unfortunately. He gets swallowed up by those medium runners now as Jeroen Visser decides to go off the track. And I think Leo might be a sitting duck on this straight with Jeroen having the DRS advantage. I don't think there's nothing Leo can do now against these medium runners. Or maybe a safety car might save him, put him on a brand new set of mediums, depending on how much mediums he's got in this race. And Jeroen Visser then moves himself up into P4 ahead of the Williams driver. And Leo then from falling to P2 to P5 in this race. Next car behind him is Supermug, or Liam should I say. Liam in P6. Can he fight him for P5, I wonder? I wonder with the time off for Isak Kush as well. Can he get himself back in the DRS of Walter, as Evans, Joshua and Supermug are super close to each other. There we go then. A big battle going on there between both Williams, one Alpine and one Williams against an Alfa Romeo. The colours are similar as well, so apologies about getting confused with that one. But Joshua there putting big pressure as the hard to medium strategy hasn't really worked out either for Supermug, as he's got Ken and Joshua right behind him. And Ken, Seavor Gamer and Leroy are bastard for P10. Where did Ken start? Yeah, he started down in P19, so he's made a fantastic recovery drive. Has the Alpine driver to move himself up into P9, putting pressure on Joshua and Supermug ahead of him. So it's turned out to be a really good race for him in the Alpine. And we go on the straight once again then with Supermug and Joshua. And Joshua will pull to the right hand side. How hard will Supermug fight this? Will he stick down the inside? No, he won't. And Joshua then moves himself up into P7. A good recovery drive despite where he started. As Supermug goes off the track and he spins as well. Does a 360 and rejoins there in P11, as both AlphaTauris have taken advantage of that one. And he drops himself outside the top 10 as well. Highest IoT driver is Seavor Gamer down in P10. And Jeroen Visser then is putting pressure on Nathan as he's found a lot of time, because he was 2 seconds behind a few laps ago, and he's got himself back in the DRS range of Nathan. And Nathan then will feel the pressure off Jeroen Visser. Can he keep him behind? He's lost a bit of time towards Isak Kush then, so this battle for the podium will be between Nathan and Jeroen Visser. And I think Jeroen might have Nathan down the straight. If he can get a really good exit cut out of here, a really good drive, he should do. But the DRS he has on him, really close to him on the straight as well, should be able to get it before turn number 2. Or before turn number 1. Here we go then, on the straight we go. And that's an easy move there from the Alfa Romeo Jeroen. But can Nathan stick with him? Can he fight it out for the podium within 8 laps to go in this race? No safety car yet. We've had a virtual safety car due to the crash of Marty. I may have suspected that he crashed in the pit lane and had to reset the track. Isak Kush though just lingering over 1 second behind ahead of Walter. Walter did a really good job to maintain that gap, but while Isak Kush there is now in the DRS range, is almost there. Yes, he is now. Can he stay there, I wonder? Can we see a battle for P1 and P2 between Isak and Walter? Battle for P1 and P2, battle for P3 and P4. Nathan was the first to pit in this train. Was that a wise idea? I wonder. Maybe he should have stayed out there a little bit longer. Who knows? But Leo now is under pressure from Leo. Look at the time Liam's gained on the Williams driver there. I can tell you that the hards to medium strategy is much better than the mediums to hards. And there we go then, Liam's going to move himself up into P5 ahead. Or is he? Because he's still behind him. There we go then. Pulls to the right hand side. And should get this move easily done before turn number 2. Yes, he does. So that's unfortunate there for Leo. The strategy hasn't worked out for him. He's down into P6 now after starting P2, as Superbug has split both AlphaTauris. He's up into P10 ahead of Seaboard Gamer. Leroy's pulled a bit of a gap there towards his teammate. Leroy's done a good job as well, despite starting P19. He did have a qualifying bad. So he started P20, so he started dead last, did Leroy. But however, now the battle between the top two will get very interesting at the top there with Isaac Kush and Walter. Can Isaac Kush find a way past Walter? Will he sit behind Walter for a few laps, trying to regain some of that lost battery and use it on him towards the last few laps of this race? That's usually the plan. That's usually the plan in these scenarios, where the driver in second place might sit behind you for a few laps, saving that ERS battery and used it all the way down the straight in the last lap or penultimate lap. I wonder, will he sit behind him for the last few laps of this race? Or will he try and or will he take it away from him? If I was in Isak's situation, looking at my ERS, I think I should save it, if I can at least, because it's quite hard to save it around here and any other tracks as well. May you think about going for an overtake at lap 31, 32, maybe the end of lap 31 when I can get close enough, because my rival ahead of me is also low on the ERS. As you can see there, Walter is also low with the flashing red light at the back of the Ferrari car, so Isak knows he's low on the ERS, and that's the advantage you can use on him. Nathan, however, is still sticking towards Jeroen Visser, so that battle for third place is not over just yet. So might see an interesting battle between P1 and P2, P3 and P4. But Jeroen has clawed some time back on the Haas ahead of him of Isaac Kush. Can he join the action as well for the battle for the top of the lead there? Superbug has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Leo, however, on those hard compound tyres, still sticking towards Liam's DRS. So despite Liam catching up all that time, he's not able to pull away with the DRS that Leo has and the slipstream that he's gaining from it as well. That's the problem. Once you overtake somebody, they're stuck in the DRS. There they are, those two. And once again, then we go past them. Into turn number 2 they go. Remain as they are. Isaac Kush remains in P2. Just planning to overtake Walter whenever he can. He can do it, of course, but he just sits behind and trying to go for it on the last lap. But he's not really saving a lot of battery, is Isaac Kush there, despite being in second place with the helping hand of the DRS. And Ferg then has overtaken Steve. He's moved himself up into P11 after suffering that spin coming out of the chicane. Jeroen is also almost in that DRS range there with Isaac Kush. If he can join that battle, it'll be really interesting, because if you sit behind somebody for too long, that means the guy behind you might pounce on you, knowing that you're sitting behind them to regain ERS. I've seen it happen before, where they're taking too long to overtake somebody, and therefore the guy behind pounces on them. But Jeroen then got good pace in that Alfa Romeo to close that gap down towards Isaac Kush. And can they make it a 4-way fight with Nathan then also in the DRS of Jeroen Visser? I think Jeroen Visser won last time out, came to Imola, took the lead of Cameron Dowds. That was a really good fight between those two. Swapping positions there. You can see that Jeroen Visser literally has no ERS in his disposal whatsoever there, as he lost a little bit of time on that straight towards Isat, as Isat had DRS going down that straight where Jeroen didn't. So Jeroen lost a little bit of time and needs to gain that back now in these first few sectors before we go on the straight once again. He's dragging Nathan along beautifully with him. Can Nathan, I wonder? He needs to make sure that Jeroen doesn't close that gap down towards 1 second, because if he does, I think that's Nathan's chance of a podium gone, because it could be very difficult to overtake Jeroen with Jeroen having DRS on the straight with Isaac Kush. So if Nathan wants this podium, he's got to make sure that Jeroen doesn't get that gap under a second, which he has done, or just about. Just needs to find a little bit more time, does Jeroen, if he can get that gap stably under 1 second, which he has done now. He's just hovering around that point. Needs to make sure he gets it before the line comes up, which is at the penultimate corner. There's the DRS line, and I don't think he's got it. No, he hasn't then. So Jeroen will not get DRS down the straight, and that will help Nathan even more to stay with him. And this will really help Nathan then to stay with him and try and fight it back for P3. really crucial that Jeroen does not get DRS if Nathan wants the podium. And also help Jeroen as well in terms of getting the slipstream and DRS off Isaac Kush, because that'll decrease Nathan's chances of getting a podium. He's pushing really hard to try and get that gap under 1 second. He's just hovering around that point, but seems to go back up in that third sector where he doesn't want it. Remember, there's only one DRS zone around here. And looks like Supermug and Ferg are fighting for P10. There we go. We go side by side now, coming out of turn 5 and turn 6. We're going up towards Tosa. Ferg trying to go around the outside. You can see him there, banging wheels with Supermug. And Supermug able to stay on the inside. You can see there, Ferg with the gripping medium compound tyres, putting Supermug under all sorts of pressure there. Supermug there, trying to defend inside the top 10. As he's bringing Sieb along with him as well. As we head on to lap 30 out of 32 in this race, Ferg has made a big mistake, and he's just allowed Sieb to overtake him once again. Ferg in the same corner seems to be struggling time and time again. Back to the battle between the top two then. Isaac Kush, when is he going to pounce? What lap is it going to be? Is it going to be 31 or 32 is when he decides to pounce on the race leader. But look at Jeroen Visser then. He's finally caught up towards Isaac Kush. But he's stuck in that DRS train. Is he going to overtake him? I wonder. And once again, Sieb and Supermug having their scraps as Ferg has been pushed into P12. I think Sieb actually overtook Supermug on that lap. Yes, he did. He moves himself up into P10 and bringing Duval in the train. And 96 the fastest lap of the race. But as you can see, Jeroen Visser is all over the back of the gearbox of the Haas. But the Haas seems to get a decent exit coming out of the chicane there. Got to make sure that he gets really good exits coming out of these corners, otherwise you'll be on him. I think Jeroen there can smell a second place coming, but with the DRS here, Isaac Kush will get. It'll be hard for Jeroen to take it off him. Isaac Kush going to remain calm if he wants to win this race. Wouter doing a fantastic job in P1, led majority of this race. Ever since then, hasn't cracked under pressure at all from the guys behind, even if one of them was on the medium compound tyre at the start of the race, Leo. Still, however, where he's defending from Joshua in P7. He's lost the DRS towards Liam now, as he's in P5, but Liam has got a 3-second time penalty, so he'd be looking to gain over 3 seconds to remain in P5. And Joshua there, looking interested in P6. His teammate ahead of him, so I wonder if those two will fight it out, Joshua and Leo. Bearing in mind though, they know Liam's got a penalty, so I don't think those two want to fight, just in case that they lose a position towards Leo. Knight has called it a day, and unfortunately he has retired. But I think Isaac Kush now might be out a bit of a range towards Wouter, because Wouter's got a really good exit. He's 1 second ahead, but Isaac Kush will still have DRS there as we head on to the final lap of this race. Then look at Jeroen Visser. He's closer towards Isaac than he is towards Wouter. And there we go. There's the Haas there ahead of him. Can he make it going into turn 1 ahead, side by side? But Isaac Kush has the inside line, and Nathan there, will he capitalise on that better exit that he has against Jeroen Visser to go side by side again, going into turn 5 and turn 6, and Jeroen Visser has the inside line to cover him and stays into P3. Haas there, I really hope he gets out of the way, because that could be distracting the top 3's vision. That's the McLaren in fact. There's the Haas in the background of Steiny and Bompier. But now Isaac Kush has lost the DRS towards Wouter. Doesn't matter anyway, because it's the last lap of the race. But can Jeroen Visser, with the extra grip he has in the corners, can he find any way past to claim second place in this race? Wouter, once again, has got this all under control and covered, like he has done. The past few, Jeroen made a mistake in the chicane. Can Nathan take advantage of that? And Jeroen's almost spun it. He's lost traction, and he's given up third place towards Nathan. Nathan's back on the podium, but can Jeroen send it down the inside? No, he's too far back. Giroud's ambition there ahead of him, Heisha has cost him, and here comes Walter then. He makes his way out the final corner to win the Imola Grand Prix with Isai in P2. Nathan will finish in P3 ahead of Giroud Vizza there. Liam, what a fantastic drive, hasn't pulled the 3-second gap on Leo, will finish in P6. There comes Leo in P5, Ken will finish in P7, Leroy P8 ahead of Joshua. Joshua's made a mistake in P9. No, he hasn't, he's run out of fuel. Joshua has actually run out of fuel. Unfortunately, he finishes in P9. Sieb in P10. And Dual P11. And Ferg will finish in P12. They were expecting a safety car. Oh, sorry about that, my voice is going. They were expecting a safety car, I think, due to the amount of underfueling that was going on. Joshua, unfortunately, there ran out of fuel. That's unfortunate for Giroud Vizza there. Just outbroke himself into that chicane. Didn't get the best exits in the next corner, therefore Nathan was able to capitalise, but Giroud made another mistake on traction and allowed Nathan through. Nathan said, "Thank you very much, mate, I'll take that one. Don't mind if I do." I can actually hear Nathan saying that as well. But what a race then, again from Walter. There we go then, Walter wins ahead of Isak Kush. Nathan in P3 ahead of Giroud Vizza. Leo in P5 ahead of Liam in P6. Leo unfortunately there started P2. Mediums to hard, hards to mediums, or mediums to hards did not work for him in the end. Joshua P8 ahead of Leroy P9. Dewall in the Aston Martin P10. Leroy 20th to 9th in the end, so good job from him. Ken from P19 to P7. No safety car either to help him, so that's a really good drive from Ken. Stephen P11, Ferg P12, Supermorgan P13, Tigriff P14, Bompier P15, 16th goes to Stanley ahead of Knight, Reservoir P18, AJ P19 and Marty P20. No safety car at all, and that's what happens when you start on the hards to mediums without those safety cars. It'll play out for you. I have been your host, IRT Indigo, also known as Jamie Morris. I hope you all enjoyed that race. Not much action, but can't always go like that. And we'll see you all next weekend, next Thursday, for the Hungarian Grand Prix. As I think it is, if I look at the calendar. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest. The 14th to 17th of November. The last race at Bahrain, which should be a good one. Bahrain's always a good race, which is the 24th of November for Tier 1. Tuners, and then for next week at 8:30 PM UK time. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Brazilian Grand Prix in this weekend.